What's up? What's up? Good afternoon. Market's taking off once again. Uh, Obviously, dull markets go higher. We talk about that all the time, and they're as dull as they get, and they continue to climb. Nothing matters. The economy doesn't matter. Inflation doesn't matter. All that matters is that the markets right now want to go higher. And until that changes, that's what you're going to get. Okay. I mean, we're extremely overbought. There's a lot of issues floating around. Uh, and, at the end of the day, again, you can't fight the tape. You can set positions up. We have some short positions on. Eventually they'll pay. But again, it comes down to capital, ES 6300. I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, again, at this point, first of all, nobody should ever be surprised about anything because the markets will do whatever they're going to do. That's that's one thing we always have to remember is that markets will do what markets do. Okay, regardless of what the president's doing, regardless of what's going on in the Middle East, regardless that the Department of Justice is suing California for sanctuary city. Even Apple is going up, is it? I haven't paid attention. Yeah, even Apple's up. Okay. Again, at the end of the day, this is the market. And the slower the market is, the higher it's going to go. Okay. It's going to take, it looks to me, I think, did you say this the other day, Captain? This is a retail rally? Was that your comment? I don't remember. I think it was you. But somebody mentioned that it was a retail rally. I think it was the captain. But again, as long as the big money is on the sideline, okay, it's going to keep going up because you remember, we talk about this often. The money that flows into the market, okay, is every day is buyers, okay, because of course 401ks, IRAs, all that continues to be put into the market, and with the lack of sellers, with the lack of positions, okay, uh, 401, well, they got to do something with it, yes. New York fell to communism and the market went up. There you go, right? I mean, so again, you can't fight what's going on. There are some opportunities you'll see. And of course, we're working some of the ratio spreads, which again, they're not working right now, but again, they're not getting killed either. And we're very near, all we need is a day to get out and make money. But again, the point is that you can't fight it and you can't look and read Barron's or the Wall Street Journal looking for reasons. Okay. Hood tokenized the US equity market system to sell to Europeans. Not a surprise. Okay, Hood. Let's see. Hood and misunderstood. Okay, so again, you can see, and again, there's another one you gave me today. BMNR, was that what it was? You didn't give it to me. You didn't think it was too late by the time I got it. But this is a new, what is it, an Ethereum? Ethereum making of like Monster. Okay. So again, you can see that there's things changing. And again, but the biggest thing I can tell you about this market, okay, is the lack of action is going to continue to propel it higher. Okay. Now it's not going up with great force. Okay. You're seeing some stocks that are going bananas, some aren't. But at the end of the day, that's the market. Okay. And this is what we have to deal with. Okay. Which is why most of the trades we put on have limited loss to them when they lose, but have potential for unlimited gain and also have some protection, okay, that allows you to hold on to those trades. Does that make sense to everybody? That's what you're trying to do. Well, if you put on a ratio spread, you've got a defense mechanism on it. So the truth of the matter is if you don't roll up the calls, the trade will make money. If you left them alone and didn't roll them and try to capture the bigger the down move based on what's going on, the trades would be profitable. They're only losing because we continue to try to sell him that he's overbought. So we roll up the calls. If you held the calls, the delta on the options would overtake the short delta on the futures. Does that make sense now? Okay, because that's how it works. Okay. If you're looking at delta, you can get to a max of 500 delta on the option and only 300 delta short on the future. Okay. So again, but you can, again, you have a defense mechanism built in that keeps you from having to be forced to make a bad decision that can force you out of the market. Okay. Because again, you have protection, just like the weighted double diagonals. They allow you to stay in the market. Okay. And again, can benefit if the moves are big enough. And that's again what you're trying to always put yourself in a position of some protection. Okay. And it's no different than hedging. It keeps you in the market. Okay. And you're getting that big rally you look for here, Captain. We're getting this explosion end of the month. There you go. So sell them into, now you can bet, okay, that they'll be down tomorrow morning. Okay. Now, whether they'll be down all day, I can't predict it. Okay. But a lot of this late buying is the end of month. Okay. Which is what we're seeing now. Okay. You're seeing everything on its highs, all-time new highs across the board. Again, you're breaking out of everything, and you're breaking out on zero volume. I think the interesting thing today is that the VIX is still up on the day, which would suggest that there may be a near-term top coming in here because you're now starting to see some put buyers show up here. Now, again, am I calling it top? No, I don't call tops or I don't call bottoms. I just call probability. Okay. And so far, the probabilities have been off. I mean, we've gone up and been overbought for the last couple of weeks. But again, it has not helped the situation to make the markets go lower. Okay. I don't know why Trump is now pressuring Israel for a ceasefire now. I don't get that, but what can I tell you? Okay. There's a lot of things that don't add up. But again, we can forget, economy doesn't matter. All that matters in the market is what the market is doing. Okay. That is the only thing that matters. Okay. Again, you can find reasons. You can always find reasons to be long. You can always find reasons to be short. Okay. Your job is not to find reasons. Your job is to find probability and to find the best opportunities. Okay. Now, again, is this market a buy? Well, I wouldn't have thought so. And I wouldn't have bought it, but it doesn't mean that I would sell it either. Okay. That's the point. I mean, I didn't trade today hardly at all. I don't know. I probably traded 40 contracts today in the futures market. Okay. Because again, there's not much to do. So you have to be willing as a trader to sit back, and you have to be willing to basically, as they say, turn those machines off. Okay. Because if you don't do that, then really all you're doing is putting yourself in jeopardy. Okay. And this is a very challenging market to trade right now. Okay. It's very easy just to buy them. Okay. If you just bought, it's fine. Okay. Again, it's not what I do, but it's certainly I can't argue with the fact that the markets have gone up. Okay. And you have to be able to recognize, where your opportunities are and where the opportunities come in. The next step is where is the least amount of risk for the greatest amount of profit potential. Okay. And I would argue if you bought the S&P here, your risk to the downside is a lot greater than the profit that you're probably going to make. Have you ever seen a market more difficult? It's hard to say. I can't always remember. I mean, it's been 47 years, but I think that there's been some that have been close, if not, but this is probably one of the hardest I've seen. Okay. Yeah, BMR is going crazy. This is one of the hardest markets I've ever seen. And it's really due to the lack of participation. Okay. And again, you figure end of month, you might have some bigger volume, but no, you don't. Okay. So you have to be more patient. You have to be willing to sit on the sidelines and not get too aggressive here. As you see, this is exactly what the captain called for. And I don't know if you're going to sell here or wait till tomorrow, but there you go. Okay. This is a straight up end of month rally. Okay. Could be a regular rally. We'll see. I'm not going to argue with it. Uh, in the meantime, I know you're ready, Connie, but I will always ask, are you ready to go? Okay. So as we look around the globe, and of course the dollar continues to get smushed. Okay. Now, why is the dollar getting smushed? Well, there's more sellers of dollars. Okay. You've got, benefit, supposed benefit. I don't agree with it, but in the meantime, we've broken down once again. And now we don't trade it, but certainly if we did, we'd be long it right here. Okay. But there really is no support right now. Okay. In the dollar, there's really no support to give you. I mean, I suppose 96 cents would be the next logical support. I think you're probably 96 to 98 now. Okay. Again, we don't trade it because it's too expensive. Okay. That's the only reason we don't trade it. It's too expensive to trade through the New York Merc. So, but 96 to 98. The euro currency continues to fly high again. This reminds me back. You guys remember when the euro was $1.60? Um, Again, it's been overbought, and you can't, that's why you can't just trade the strict overbought conditions. I mean, again, now we're looking at another level. I would say you'd probably have to be looking at 119. There is no true support here. I think 119 is the level you'd be watching for. I think 117 to 119. Okay. Now I think you have a much higher probability if you sell it here, okay, if you're looking to sell, and I'm not recommending that you do. Certainly, if the options were liquid enough, I'd be putting on a ratio spread here because I can see, I will bet you that between now and next week, when we get back together again, we'll see a move of a penny or two lower. It may not stay there, but we'll see a move of a penny or two lower. Okay, which again in real money is $1,250 to $2,500 a contract. Okay. The notes, they're a little bit higher, very much overbought. Not quite to my automatic sell yet, but certainly right around there. I think 113 is where I'd like to sell them. And of course, this is directly correlated to interest rates. I think you're 111 to 113. And of course, Bissett keeps saying that, along with Trump, that they should cut rates. Why should we cut rates? Can anybody give me one reasonable answer as to why we should cut rates? Anybody? One legitimate, reasonable answer as to why we should cut rates. They need to pay bills, but that doesn't help us. Cutting rates does not necessarily help you, the consumer. Okay. Is it our fault that they got so deep in debt that they need to bring down the loan payments? We pay them anyways. No, of course they don't care. I don't think inflation ever went away. Okay. You would think that prices would have come down a lot based on what we're just watching with the price of gas, how low it's been compared to where it was. In the meantime, the bonds, okay, again, they're getting close to my 116 automatic sale. Okay. I think you're looking at 114 to 116. Okay. And levels continue to change. Okay. Bitcoin, Bravo Tango Charlie, I think we're still in the same range, 100 to 112. Nothing has changed as far as I'm concerned. Looks good, looks solid. Listen, this is a very bullish pattern you're watching develop. It should break out to the upside. Okay. But you're really seeing just some churning, okay, in those wider ranges. Okay. Gold, go up Charlie, get a little bit of a bounce off of some oversold conditions, tried to break through support. I think we're still where we were, 3,200 to 3,400. Okay. And I would suspect that we'll see a pullback here at some point. We have seen, a fairly reasonable pullback, but I think there's more coming. Silver is just chopping in consolidation, 35 to 37. Platinum has had a hell of a move. Okay. Now, again, you would expect, this is more of a natural market. You would expect a pullback from platinum, and you got it. Now, again, what do you do with it from there? Okay. It is kind of parabolic. It is kind of running higher. I would suggest that you're probably looking at 1300 to now 1400. Okay. And maybe platinum's going to finally make the run I've been looking for years. Okay. From when it was used to be over gold, now it's under. And of course, you're now getting, just if you're not paying attention, you're now getting, some selling coming in. I mean, still obviously much higher, but you are getting a little bit of some selling. So that looks like the buyers came in. Looks like they're going away. We'll see. We'll see how this market closes in 1 minute. Um, Copper broke out of the range. Okay. Now, again, a lot of these things don't make sense, but they don't have to make sense. That's the point. I think copper now resistance is at about 525, and I think you're now $5 has now become support. 5 to 525. Okay. Um, Wheat, it looks awful, but not the worst of the bunch. Okay. Had the blow up we talked about, looking for a spot to sell it, came all the way back down. It looks like it might be trying to make some support around 535. Okay, and I think you're 535 to 560. That 560 resistance is still in play. Okay. And corn continues to be unbelievably weak. Now, one of the things you have is no action, no volume. So it makes it easier to sell. Remember, when these markets are as thin as they are, okay, it's easier to push them around. Okay. It's easier for them to do things. Hold on 1 second. I have trouble with one of my monitors. Hold on 1 second for me. See if that works. But again, it's easier to push when there's nothing going on. Okay. I would be a buyer of corn. Soybeans are right on their 200-day moving average. I think 10, oh, I got to give you corn, Connie. I'm sorry, I did not do that. I think $4 is now the support. As sad as that is to say, I think it's 4 to 420. Soybeans look like they're at 1010 to 1040. So not only are they moving in a direction, but they're also uh, they're also um, they're also getting much weaker. So again, it's the action is so weak that it's kind of disgusting. Okay, and of course, cattle pushing back higher again. We haven't done anything with it yet. It's just too thin. And of course, now Walmart is now in the cattle business. They're cutting out the middleman and doing their own. But at the end of the day, again, I would be a seller probably at 220. But again, I've stayed away from this market for quite a while now because it's just too much of a challenge. I think you're really 204 to 220, which is really a ridiculous range. But again, you have to account for the lack of activity in the market. Okay. Sold the 350 blow up. Nice trade. I would have sold it too, but I'm here. Then it's all good. Happy for you. I hope you stay. I hope they punish them now for you. Peter cattle, which I don't trade, apparently looks to be 305 to 315. Hogs, as I told you last week, I was going to be a seller. Okay, and I was. And of course, not that I'm bearish, I just assumed that it was overbought and there'd be a little bit of a pullback. And off of 114, you got back to 110. I would think that this might be an area, if you trade this, to start looking to be a potential buyer in it. Okay. I think it's 110 to 114. Natural gas. I have a question on natural gas. Let me go back to this for a minute. When looking at the chart, I thought when August nat gas hit 340, it broke the support level. Therefore, I waited for a rally and sold into the rally at 370, which I thought would be resistance. I went back to the Monday night call to check, and you have a sale at $4. I'm checking to see what I did wrong. Well, you didn't do anything wrong. I mean, I gave you levels, okay, at when we were looking, and of course, if you look at last Monday, okay, I gave you up here because I could see that we were bouncing off of support and off of the 200 days, so I could potentially seen a rally again. There's nothing exact. What you have to do, which is exact, okay, is to know your exit is. If you make a trade because you would have had an opportunity to resell it again. Again, I give you levels and they work pretty good, but they're not going to work perfectly and they're not going to work to the exact numbers that I always give. Sometimes they work exact, but again, I'm never going to claim that it's exact. But if you waited, okay, and so if you sold at 370, which was here, okay, so maybe you got stopped out, but then you had another opportunity to resell them again up around the $4 level. Is that correct? I mean, you did nothing wrong. I mean, originally we were looking at 380. Okay. Remember, we've been chopping between 340 and 380 for 3 weeks. No, you didn't do anything wrong. Again, listen, this is not an exact science that it's going to work perfectly every time. Your objective is when you look at it, you look at a chart, you establish a level, you establish an exit point. Okay. You can take that trade at 370. Again, I don't make all winning trades. You can take that trade at 370 and have your exit point, knowing that you may have to re-enter again to make that trade once again. Okay? That's all. Again, you didn't do anything wrong. You made a trade, it didn't work. Okay? That's going to happen. Okay? It worked. Oh, there you go. Okay, the $4 worked, yes. Okay, the 370 if you sold did not. But the $4 did work. And that's the point. If you'd have done the 370, hey, no problem. If you couldn't hold the pressure when it got to 4, because 4 would have been secondary, then you would have gotten your stop on the way up. And then you would, once you saw the reversal, you would have got, no, you're right on. It's exactly what you expect to happen. Again, you have to be, if you're going to be in this business, okay, if you're going to be in this business, you have to have some patience. You have to be willing to take a loss, okay? And you have to be willing to exit, which means you have to always know where your exit point is. I'll look at those later when I'm done, yes, but not now, okay? Anyways, so nat gas is now, looks like it's about 340 to 380, 340 to 380. And crude, looks like it's got pretty solid support around 64 and pretty solid resistance at 68. Okay. So again, the only thing that can give me some heartburn on crude, I got some orders at 68 working. Okay. But the only heartburn in the crude oil market right now is, of course, if something goes crazy in the Middle East, they'll run it up. And of course, you saw it was $78 last week.
You know how the financial world goes. Here comes the buzzkill. Please make sure to take some time to read this boring disclaimer. We will owe you one.